Hey, welcome on in. I'm Steve West with Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers in the background here as we are into the second broadcast of our day here on this last Saturday in the month of April. After the show, where we get to some stuff that some lighter-hearted things, kind of, if you want to put it that way. Sometimes we get into some real serious
Spit it out, Steve!
Come on, Steve.
I was almost going to say confrontations, but that's not really it.
No.
Conversations is certainly a better way to put it. First things first, you teased it, and we've kind of been showing them. We're going to show them a little bit more over the course of the next couple of, few days leading up to next week. Whenever we go to break here on our YouTube feed, we drop out the audio from our flagship station, and we have a music bed, and you see a scrolling number of pictures. John set that up very, very nicely.
Yep.
And most of those pictures, if not all of them, come from your experience on iRacing.
Yeah, I had I think it was actually around October. Yeah, it was around October. Finally bit the bullet. Not that I, complained about it.
Why would you?
Got my iRacing account set up and started working the ways up through, running the different divisions, like how it runs, and you get your license like a step-by-step process, which some folks don't know how to do anymore. They're just going to say, hey, here's $500 million. I want to drive a cup car.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, started out and got as you see, one of the super late models with a CRN emblazoned colors. Then expanded to 3 of those super late models with the colors on it. Then went to an Xfinity car. And now this week, they're within the fleet, when you see me racing on there, any of our avid competitors, which I know of a few of them are, sees me in the room, you know what colors you're going to see. Because we now have a next-gen cup car, a truck, as well as an Indycar.
I like the Indycar. Don't get me wrong. I like how the Cup Series car and the truck came along. That Indycar car is sharp. That's a good-looking car.
I told Stephen Ayers at Ayers iRacing Paints, I told him, I said, primary black on the cup car and the truck car. I said, but the Indy car surprised me. The red over the black turned out really well.
Very pleased with that. That is a sharp-looking car, and we'll get into more details, and they'll be included in much more detail over the next couple of weeks here. I don't know. This is up to John. He's the master of this. He knows more about it than I do when it comes to trying to set all this up. But yeah, they'll be included in the rotation of pictures, and we'll have it on social media. And I don't know. I guess we could put it up on the webpage as well.
Yeah,
right?
I can get it on the webpage.
So,
and just a quick apology to everyone about the video feed. We have internet issues.
Yes, it's not necessarily our fault. It's the internet. So we're going to kind of keep this relatively short. But Matt and I did a little field trip. We could talk about John and his soap opera situation related to that, but that'll be a rant for another day. Matt and I took a field trip. We went to Atlanta. We took in the doubleheader Xfinity and laid off with the Camping World Truck Series last weekend. And Matt and I, having the experience that we do at Talladega and Darlington and Richmond
And Homestead.
Miami, note NASCAR, and even note to SMI. Just saying. We paid a lot of attention. I paid a lot of attention. I'm not going to speak for Matt. I'll let him speak for
I
himself.
paid a lot of attention.
But I paid a lot of attention to what was being said over the PA system. And they do it a little bit differently than we do at Talladega. Mm-hmm. There's a time when we do talk as the PA announcers. Yeah. But when you get into race coverage, SMI tends not to necessarily go to PRN, which is SMI's chosen radio network. They will from time to time, but they tend to leave the announcers to do it for themselves. I can't tell you how many times in going through the lead up and the process of getting the lineups for the Camping World Truck Series or the Xfinity Series, to a lesser extent the Cup Series, because those drivers are much better known, there's no doubt about it. But even to somewhat of an extent, there are drivers that show up in the Cup Series that you go, never seen that name before. How do you pronounce the name? You go and you ask questions. You find out. Yeah. I mean, one of the Oh gosh, I was trying to think of one of the ones. Erman Quiroga.
Who?
Yeah. I mean, it literally, the name looks like German Quiroga. And we're looking at it going, okay, there's a proper pronunciation here. How is it? And we got on the radio and we're like, can anyone tell us the proper pronunciation of the driver of this truck? And 2 or 3 people went, we'll find out.
Hence where the legend Matt Coulter coined me Rain Man, because if he couldn't pronounce a name, we're in the booth. Hey, how do you pronounce this?
Yes. We went through processes to make sure that we knew how to pronounce the names. And we've had a lot of fun with this. There's a background to it. We've had a lot of fun with it. We even did it during today's show when we referenced 2311 Racing, not 23 by 1. Let's give you some background. Here in the Birmingham television market, which covers the north central part of Alabama from Tuscaloosa through Birmingham over to Anniston and Gadsden, the ABC affiliate had a sportscaster by the name of Patrick Brookman. Good guy, met him, nice enough guy, no longer works for the company, he's moved on to somewhere. But I saw him one night pronounce or reference 2311 Racing as 23 by 1, 23x1, 23 by 1, xi, Roman numerals for 11. He said by 1. I couldn't let it go, and I still can't because it's a fun thing to say. We're going to get things wrong. We're professional announcers. We're not perfect. We'll get things wrong from time to time. But if you don't know what you're saying, my God, don't say it. Find out, if you can, what's going on. Alex Labbe.
Internet just dropped. Well, my headset just went dead. One of the two. Go ahead.
Alex Labbe was one of the names that we heard last week. It's Alex Labbe, Labbe. I'm trying to remember some of the others.
Let's see. I'm trying to think too.
I mean, that's just one example, though. Okay? And Matt and I, on more than one occasion, looked at each other and went, huh?
Yeah, here's one. Loris Heisman.
Yes.
Loris Heisman.
Heisman.
Since I've been trying, especially last year and then through this year, being in the booth like as I have at Talladega, going to these different tracks, one of the very first conversations that I catch myself having with Steve, or questions he asked me, how's the PA guy?
Yep.
How's the PA guy?
We constantly reference that.
Well, it's either that or not bad. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because
And we recognize it.
like last year at Texas when I went to the All-Star race, I caught real quick that it was Mark James.
Right.
I'm like, this dude does the Indycar. He's pretty good.
Right.
He's doing a great job. Went to Nashville. They were in left field. When I went to Memphis, Moonford, Alabama.
Moonford.
There is a Munford, Tennessee.
Same thing.
Moonford, Alabama?
Yeah. This isn't, and I get it, there's slight differences in pronunciation from state to state. For example, North Carolina and Massachusetts both have a town that is spelled the exact same way, but it's pronounced a little different. In North Carolina, it's Concord. In Massachusetts, it's Concord. Conkerd would be kind of the putting it in phonics. Is how Massachusetts puts it. Concord is kind of how they pronounce it in North Carolina. We get it. There's small, subtle differences.
Yeah, they also pocket ha and half a yard.
That's true. Why in the world would you go from Munford to Moonford? It's not like it's spelled Moonford. We pass by that every weekend, John. We know how it's spelled. It's big on the sign. That guy knows it very well.
I'll say it to you this way, and if you're watching, God love you. I played it smart that race. Going up there, I knew that MAV TV was going to have the feed. I knew one Jim Trado was going to be in the booth.
A guy who we worked with at Homestead,
Miami. That we ran circles around. Anyway, I had to throw that in there. So I played it smart, and I wore my Motor Racing Network Polo.
Of which we both have at least 2. Yeah. I think
Thank
we got
you.
3 and a button down.
Thank you, Stacy Fox.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. I strategically, along with Starlet and her family, strategically positioned myself on the aisle of this road that goes up to the tower at Memphis. Guess who nearly broke their neck when they saw me in that polo?
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Trado.
And it's bad when Starlet's family, my wife's family, at the time, her 73-year-old grandmother looks at me and says, "You need to go up there. He's awful." Look, I almost said, "Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
how fast can you get to Memphis?"
Yeah, really. To go back to Homestead Miami, this was the last year
Yeah.
that they had the championship. It was 2019.
Yep.
We were called down there with Jim Trado. Jim Trado had kind of installed himself as lead, which is fine. Friday, Camping World Truck Series Championship race. Saturday, Xfinity Championship race. Sunday, Cup Series Championship race. He would go up, he would introduce everything, he would get the PA system rolling. And then when he had to leave, because he was doing trackside stuff, after Friday, because he came back up, and he sat in the background. Matt and I handled everything for the rest of the Truck Series race. Jim Trado was like, they got it, I don't have to do it. Saturday came up, started off things on the PA system. When he had to go trackside, we didn't see one trace of him for the rest of the day. Same thing on Sunday. He knew it was covered. He didn't have to come back up at all. That's what he talks about when he says we ran circles around it. He realized, tower's covered. I'm done. I don't need to worry about it. Dan Lockney, our good friend over at Darlington, after the first weekend that we showed up at Darlington, 2018, he felt the same way.
Yep.
That goes back to referencing some of the stuff that we've talked about before, where NASCAR needs to stop messing with things that didn't have a problem in the first place.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you.
Yep, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not saying that we should go back to Richmond every single time. Joey Self is a good guy, he's got it, and probably there are people that are closer. But we had Darlington locked down. We were set to go back to Homestead Miami in 2020. I had been called by the track president. He had set up my hotel confirmation, had set aside a rental car, and my flight before he had to cancel all of it because guess what happened? Stupid COVID.
My credentials was booked too.
And then guess what? COVID happens, and then NASCAR decides that they're going to go fix something that wasn't broken and create an answer to a question nobody had asked.
That's funny.
And Matt Coulter and I have been paired at Talladega since 2007. Matt covers trackside, comes up, spells us during the race, goes back down before the race is over, and deals with victory lane. But since 2007, I've been the lead guy in the tower. I've had varying assistants over the course of that time. We finally settled on, just before COVID hit, Matt Coulter trackside, I as lead in the tower, with Grady Sapp, a person very familiar to listeners of our flagship station, 95.1 The Mountain, as my co-announcer, and Matt Nicholson here was the producer, who had figured out a system that was begun by one producer, John Myers, and perfected it. Took it to Darlington, took it to Richmond, took it to Homestead Miami. Impressed not only Joey Self, impressed not only Dan Lockamy, impressed not only Jim Trado, but impressed several Motor Racing Network people.
I had it to within 1 second or less of dead air.
We had one Motor Racing Network person who was supposed to be the liaison between us and MRN, Jeff Striegel, and all those guys in the booth right next to us. He watched us work during the Camping World Truck Series race
At Homestead.
and made a couple of comments, but for the most part, decided that he didn't need to be on a row with us. He stepped back to the row behind us and watched us work. And after his first couple of minor comments, to which we took and tweaked, Saturday he said nothing. Sunday, the big race, the championship race, said nothing until after the race when he said, "You guys are good."
Yeah,
But yet, NASCAR still decided that they needed to have a national voice. With all due respect to you, Tim Catalfamo, you're good at what you do. But I'm getting to the point now, or in my life, I don't care. And I'm going to say it right now. There may be some tracks where PA announcing situations, you might need to travel there because the track doesn't have their own PA announcers. We had it at Talladega. We were set. But again, let's go create an answer to a question nobody asked. That being said, Atlanta, if you need some help, we're available. Just noting. Contact Talladega. They'll get in touch with us. Be happy to come over and help.
There are quite a few voices that I heard that I do really recognize a lot. He's really, really good at what he does.
Jesus.
Don't get me wrong. But when Atlanta has the legend Dwayne Keith that travels with the Southern All-Star Dirt Racing Series, when he goes over there and helps, they expand their talent horizon.
Yeah.
Chris Tilley, heard his voice over there before. Who's the other one? Doggone it. What's his name?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know either.
The guy that done all the stuff for SMI, they call him Captain Raspy.
Oh. I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either. Either way.
All right, now I'm gonna have to find. I've got to find it.
Either way. Yeah, it can expand your talent horizon. It's not that far of a drive for us to go from Birmingham, Alabama area over to Atlanta. We'll be happy to help you out. Give us a call. So that being said, while Matt continues to look it up, let's go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. We appreciate you checking us out. Don't forget to check us out on all of our social media pages. We got Facebook, we got Twitter, we got Instagram. Obviously, you're watching it right here. Tell your friends about it. Go on to YouTube, youtube.com. Just look up CRN Live and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. That way you'll get notifications anytime we go on like this. And like I said, tell your friends about it. We'd love to have more people subscribe onto this and, help spread the word about this particular show. We talked about it at the end of the regular show as well. Don't forget about our website, crnradio.us. If you go to crnradio.com or .net, that takes you to an entirely different site, and you'll get lost in a morass of menus. crnradio.us. That's our homepage. Go to it, check it out. We appreciate any feedback. We appreciate all the comments.
I'm drawing a stinking blank on it to save my life.
Mr. Raspy was good enough. Don't worry about it, man.
Anyway, but he was a PA announcer at the defunct Green Valley Speedway in Glencoe.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he went to SMI. Every year he would do the Bama Bash. When the Bama Bash was at Green Valley Speedway.
There you go.
Done races I know at East Alabama Motor Speedway.
The least we could ask, though, is go and get the pronunciations correct. If you don't know it,
Thank you.
ask. Find out beforehand. It's called show prep.
Yeah.
I know about it. John knows about it.
Okay, Mr. Reese.
Ozzy Altman.
Ozzy Altman.
That's it, Ozzy Altman.
All right. With that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for this particular weekend. We apologize for some of the internet latency issues we've been having. Hope you've enjoyed this. We'll be joining you again next Saturday right here on the Championship Racing Network. On behalf of Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers, I'm Steve West. We'll talk to you again next week.
See ya.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.